I can tell you that in 1 hour's time or 50 minutes time, there's not enough time for me to be able to share everything that I would like to be able to share with you. But I do want to share with you that we are very, very grateful again to KDL for helping us and KDL bring this information to you. And then also share with you that here at Home Repair Services, check us out, homerepairservices.org, and check out our Facebook. You see a lot of the different things we do. Nonprofit, been around for 41 years this year. And we actually do a lot of teaching. So everything you see here, we actually teach in a 2-hour version plus on every Saturday at 10 o'clock. There's a free workshop here. So without further ado, I want to show you some images. So PowerPoints would be awesome. And this is from my PowerPoint, but I think that I can stand here and explain some things a little easier by doing it this way. So when you look at this is an infrared picture of a house. And obviously the bluish and darker areas are where there's no heat loss. And then you got green, and you notice around the windows and doors, you've got yellow and orange. Up in the attic at the peak, look at that. A lot of heat going right to the peak of that attic and just escaping out on the eaves, up in the dormer up here, around the windows. Lots of heat loss. So when you look at this porch roof. It's all blue. Why? Because it's not a heated area like in the house. So if everything was just awesome, you'd be able to see a lot of blue, a little bit of green, maybe a touch of yellow here or there, because nothing is perfect. So you see that. And then this one here is just like to give you a visual of how air moves through our house. Our houses they draw air in and draw air out. You know, it just moves through the house. Maybe we sit on the couch with a blanket on or whatever because there's a draft. Even though the furnace is running, that's because of that cool air that's just gradually moving through the house. It may be coming up around the foundation, maybe around doors, around windows, everywhere. And then it actually moves out. So you see the blue arrows going in, the red arrows going out. Just an example around that attic door right there. Put some weather stripping around that attic door, put some insulation on the attic door so that heat doesn't escape through there. Keep your windows locked in the wintertime. I was at a home a couple days ago, and up in the attic, there are a couple of windows, but it's a finished off attic, and the windows were closed, but they weren't latched. And the upper one was actually down about 3/4 of an inch. Imagine that going like that all winter long. You're going to definitely lose some heat. All right. So show and tell, and then we're going to get some hands. I'm going to bring some stuff up here. We've all seen ice dams. This is a really good example. So I want you to think about this picture right here as why are they there? Well, Mother Nature has a lot to do with it, but also it's heat loss. So if you have 70 inside the house, our thermostat is set at 70, and outside above the roof is 0. Okay. If we don't have adequate insulation here, then we're losing heat through the insulation, and it actually warms the attic more than it should. And if it's above 32 degrees, all those roof boards underneath are warmer than the outside air, and the water melts from the bottom side of the snow and trickles down to the edge. This is a key part. Once it gets to that crosses that outside wall, that water's running down. It crosses this wall. Again, just like that porch, it is no longer above a heated area. So it comes down and freezes, and then more, and then more, and more. And it'll actually build higher. And as you can see that, the higher it goes, the farther back it goes. And you can actually create areas where water will just sit because the water is always thawed and it's just sitting there. Well, shingles are designed to shed water, not to hold water. So then it'll seep in here and there, and all of a sudden your plaster, your drywall's damp over in the corner on that outside wall. Very, very telltale signs. So you need insulation and proper ventilation. Okay, this is a good example. 2 houses side by side, and you can do this, yeah, because we're gonna be getting some snow. We're gonna be frost and snow on our roofs. Look at your roof, and when we do get some snow, if you have a nice blanket of snow covering it, and it stays there for a while, pretty good, then you're pretty good. You got adequate insulation. If it's melting like this side, well, guess what? You got a lot of heat loss. The reason why it's melting is because of the warmth in the attic. You notice on that very outside edge right there, there's snow sitting. And that is because it's the overhang on the house and is above a heated area. It is not above a heated area. Then you see those little snow lines right there. those are the rafters in the roof. So you want to have snow sitting on your roof like this one, all right? So, you know, can you get too much and you got to scrape it off sometimes? Yeah, but this is telltale. I want to be able to see that. All right, lots of information. So I'm going to go quick, and I'll tell you, if you ever have any questions, we're here. All right. I always will mention this. To me, this has nothing to do with air sealing, but these things are so crucial in these are livelihood, you know, life and death situations, right? That for the smoke alarms and the carbon monoxide alarms, make sure you have them in your home. Every floor needs a smoke alarm somewhere on the main floor in the hallway or something, and then one in every bedroom. So you need one in the basement, one on the first floor, one on the second floor, and then one in each bedroom for the smoke alarms. Carbon monoxide alarms is one on each floor, one in the basement, one on the first floor, one on the second floor, typically in a hallway, and they're mounted about same height as what your thermostat would be. That's what the fire department actually is doing. So check with your local fire department or in your local municipality and see if they have the program for installing smoke alarms and carbon monoxide alarms, and they're free, folks. So why would we not do this? And they have 10-year batteries in them. So if we're still doing the spring ahead, fall back thing, changing the battery, let's get some new ones as long as we can get some from our municipality, or also the Red Cross does a program like that too. So check that out. This is not air sealing, but this is crucial. We just lost a lot of leaves. And if they're sitting up there in that eaves trough, guess what? They're going to go to the end and they're going to plug that up, and this is going to fill up with water. When it fills up with water, it freezes in the wintertime. It pulls forward because, you know, when water freezes, it expands. So what it's going to do is it's going to move forward, and it's going to pull the nails out to have this fastened to the side to your fascia board. So make sure that these are cleaned out. You know, they have these gutter scooper things. You can get these very, very inexpensive, and just get those out of there. Make sure that it's done. All right. Getting into a little air sealing. So there are all kinds of weather stripping. So this is a bulb weather stripping, a foam tape weather stripping. So this one, actually it's sticky on one side, right? And the other side is not. You just put it on and then pull it under. So if you have some little cold air coming around your door or a crack or a crevice or somewhere, and you said, Mike, I don't have time to fix that now. I don't have time to put in a new window. I don't have time to put in a new door. I can't get anyone, can't find a handyman, can't find someone to come and do it for me. This is so simple, all right? It's just peel it and stick it, fill in that crack. You can do it. I know you can. So there's many different kinds. There's a thickness. Here's another one that's actually still in the package, but it's just a little bit smaller. Here's one that actually, there's foam, there's an open cell foam, there's a closed cell foam, and then there's this other type that's more like a rubbery type stuff. But again, it has a tape on there that you can still peel it and stick it. There's a tape on the back side of that. All right, so lots of that stuff out there. Just go look at what you got, take a picture of it, okay, and go support your local hardware and go in there and show them that picture and say, I'd really like to be able to close up this air draft, right? Remember that one picture with all of the blue lines coming in the house, right? That's moving. The air comes in on one side and just moves right across the house and out the other side or up through the attic or around the cracks and crevices. And then they make some really thick stuff. This one's a little bit thicker, all right? Plenty of options. Now, just to give you, I'm not going to tell you how much all this stuff is, but I would say most of this stuff, except for some of the weather stripping that's at the bottom, you're talking about $5, $6, $7 per item. Some stuff less. So it's definitely worth doing. Every crack you can seal off, you save. You really do. You want to make sure that your dryer vents are cleaned out. So look at this dryer vent. So this is the old-fashioned one over on this side. It's got that flapper up in there. And guess what? They're down low usually, right? So it's not why we look up at it all the time. And guess what? When they get the lint buildup in there, that flapper stays open. So you have cold air just moving right in through there, and you don't need that. And then as far as the ones with the flappers, these things right here, these things flex right out. So I'm going to show, here's that picture. Here's the same thing. All these flappers just lift, right? They blow open when when the dryer's on. But there's stuff in there, Mike, and I can't get to it. Well, if you take these things, they're a vinyl product, right? So if you just kind of like, what I'm going to do is pull out on the center and hold back on the side. Watch this. And it just pops right out. And you can see that there's a little tab right there on both sides. And they just go in that hole. And I can just pop out the other one. Keep that lint out of there. It's so important to keep that lint out of there. Put them back in. I just put it on one side and I flex it. Put the other side in. Put that one there. Flex it. Put the other side in. Keep that clean. If you let the lint build up on the outside, what it starts doing is the lint builds up. Let's say it's a 4-inch round hole. And the more the lint there, the smaller that hole gets. Now the hole is smaller, so on the sides of the pipe, it can actually cling to the sides of the pipe now because it has something to stop it. So that hole gets smaller, and it actually goes back in farther, back into the pipe, so we have more and more to do. If it gets choked down too much, well then what happens is the dryer can't do what it's supposed to. The lint is on the other end by the dryer, and because it can't pass through. And we have probably all heard a story about someone having a dryer fire. Well, that's a perfect way, a reason why that would happen is if you don't keep this clean and it backs up and the lint accumulates in the dryer where the heating element is and where the flame is. So keep them clean, folks. This is just an example of a dryer screen that we keep for show and tell, but you can just see that we did not create this. This was actually one that came out of a dryer, and it is thick, right? Look at all that stuff on there. It was solid. So that dryer can't function the way it's supposed to. All right. You saw on this one, on the dryer vent, that there's some foil tape around this pipe. Okay. I'm going to show you that. Here's one that is more of a piece of ductwork. Okay. And here is a roll of tape. And all it is it's like aluminum foil. It's just aluminum foil that's sticky on one side once you peel the paper off of it. And down in your basement, so here's the heat trunk coming off the furnace right here. And then you've got heat loss. You know, maybe you have a cold room. Maybe you have a really warm room. Maybe the closest one to the furnace is the bathroom, and it's small, but it's getting a massive boost of heat right off the get-go because it's closest to the furnace. But the ones farther away and upstairs, you know what, they could use a little help. So make sure you put that tape around there so that air flows through the pipe and not just all over down in the basement. You need a little bit of heat down in the basement. There should be a register already designed for your system, but let's let this heat that goes in these pipes go to where we want it to go to, and that's in the bedrooms. The other thing about this, while I have it up here, and I am going to do the tape to show you how, is if you look right here, you'll see there's a little lever right there. Okay, that's a damper. You can open and close it. So again, just like the one I said for the bathroom, if it's, do you really need that much heat right there? If you take this damper, this is what's inside of here, and this is that little arm that I just showed you, and you just turn it, and it opens and closes in that pipe. It doesn't close it off completely because there's a little bit of space all the way around it, and I'll show you that right here. So you can see all the way around that, there's a little bit of space, right? So, and we can adjust this to whatever we want. We can back it down. We can say, you know what, that bathroom is really hot. So just close it and then just experiment. Open it up a little bit because it's not enough. But what that's doing is it's allowing the heat to go to the other ones, okay, that are farther away. So there should be one of these on every one of these pipes that comes off your main heat plenum, the trunk. Some do, or some don't. So I'm saying there should be, right? So this is that foil tape. First thing I'm going to do is tear off a little piece, and so you can see it. So it's foil, and it just has paper stuck to the back of it. Stuck really good. It's good tape. And there it is. Just peel it off, right? And look at this. So it sticks pretty good. So that's going to close that up. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go around this one. and peel off a piece that's just a little bit longer than what it needs to be. And then I'm going to come over here and start, oops, sorry, I took that out of your view. Start that like this. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put it right on that seam. I'll do it here, right up here up front. I'm going to put it right on that seam where those two pipes connect. Okay, right there. And, you know, give it a little rub. But now as I go around, I'm just going to pull the paper. Right? So I'll turn it so you can see. I'm just pulling the paper. And you see how that's just laying right down. And then just rub it in. Now that heat is going to travel through all the way through this pipe to its other end and not leak out at every seam down in the basement. Okay, so a good thing to kind of pay attention to. Our outside walls. So the outside walls in our house are cold, right? That's where the cold air comes from. And so one of the common areas where cold air comes from on an outside wall is if it gets in the walls, it comes through around the outlets. So here's outlets and switches on the wall, okay? So this is a certain kind of caulking that you can actually, because there's cold air coming around. If you look at this one, right, there's cold air coming all around that thing, around the outside edge of it because it doesn't fit tight. So someone here used the foam in a can. For this application, unless you're really experienced with a foam in a can, I would just use some caulking, okay, and then smooth it out. And then you put one of these pads on, put my finger in the right place, one of these pads on, and then put the cover back on. All right. So now I will show you those. So here's the outlet without the cover on it. And here's the light switch without the cover on it. And here's a bag of these pads. Again, you know, less than $5. So you can see how they're made. They're just made out of foam. So you sealed around it on the wall where it meets the wall. But what about the air coming through it right here? You know what's still going to happen? You take one of these foam pads that are made for this and set it right on there. Right? And then you can see that foam pad, and then just put the cover back on it and put that screw in there. So now it can't come around behind it because of you sealed off around the box, and it can't come around anywhere else because you sealed that foam gasket right there. And you can do the same thing for a light switch. All right, you do the same process. That pad, and then put the cover back on. You know, all you have to do is take the cover off, you know, seal it, and you're good. Outside walls, these things are very nice. If each one of those saved you $1 and it costs $5 for the pack, you save that same $1 over and over and over and over again every month. So that's that. A little bit about the pipes down in our basement. And this is really, really crucial for someone if they live in a modular home or a mobile home. Big thing for pipes and stuff freezing in mobile homes and in parks. So you want to make sure, I'm going to set a couple things up here. You want to make sure that you put some foam wrap. This is just foam with a slit in the side of it. Right? So and these come 3 feet long. And then you just cut them, or actually 3 feet, you slip one on, and then, well, how much more do I need? So you just open up that slit right there and just put that in there. And some of them have a piece of double stick tape that once you put this over it, then you pull that tape and then it just sticks together. So there are different colors of this stuff. And I would get the better one because the last time I checked, of course, it's been a few years, but there was only like, a couple bucks difference between one package that has 12 feet in it and another package that has 12 feet in. But the insulating value was 3 times as high for an extra couple dollars. So I would recommend that. So in what it is, it's about the density of, of this foam, how dense the foam is. There's that one, and here's another one. And this one is just more dense. There's actually, I thought there was a tan or brownish colored one. Each one has a different density. So it has a different heat resistance value, okay? But this is going to protect that pipe down underneath the house and in the down in the basement. Also, it will help them somewhat to not be so sweaty in the summertime. You know, just like a glass of water, set it out on the counter in the summertime and it sweats. That's why our pipes in our basement sweat. And also, a basement is typically an area where there's more moisture. It's kind of a little bit more humid. As far as your faucets, really, really, really important to make sure that you never leave a faucet on here in the wintertime. And I've heard somebody say, well, you know, I kind of have, but you're just asking for problems, because that with water, if the hose is on here and there's water in the hose, it's just going to freeze. And they actually can freeze and sneak their way back up inside the pipe and bust it. So this is this type of pipe. Actually, when the valve, or I'm sorry, the handle is on an angle like this, right? It's turning off right here. It turns in and out. And back inside here in the basement, there's another valve to turn it off. So you turn it off inside, and then go out here and open it up and let it drain out. So when the water that's in here drained out, and now everything water-wise is back inside where it's warmer temperatures. If you have one like this, the one where the handle goes straight in, so I'll hold them both up, you can see the difference between the two. The one goes on an angle on the bottom, the one on the top goes straight in. The one on the top is like a frost-free one, and it actually has the handle is this way because there's a steel rod that travels all the way through to the back, and it turns off back inside here. So that does the same thing as the other one. The thing is, you still want to make sure that you seal around these. Still make sure you get that hose off from there, because if water goes up inside of here, this is copper, and any pipe will freeze. Water, when it freezes, it has extreme pressure and it will bust. So you can see how that split, even though it's a frost-free. And it's probably very likely because someone had the hose on it. The water moves up inside. Now there's cold air moving around here, and boom. So check those out. Maybe you've been lucky. And then also there's a heat tape for those, you know, if you need, you maybe have a crawl space, you have some water lines going back there, and you say, Mike, I really would like to do something extra for that in a crawl space or underneath of a mobile home or modular home. You want to make sure that the heat tapes are on your pipes that are exposed, and then also that you keep an eye on them. Make sure that they're plugged in. It's getting cold out. Make sure they're plugged in. They set on a thermostat and they automatically come on and off. But check them. You don't want that surprise in the middle of that, you know, that 7 below night, and then you don't have any water, and it's like, oh my, that's not fun. Been there and done that. So a heat tape. There are many things we can do to windows to seal up windows, seal up drafts and all of that around them. So if you have a single hung window, or I'm sorry, not a single hung, but a single pane, just one piece of glass, you know, like it's in the garage or an older home. Some of they still do just have just a single pane of glass. So the glazing, all the glazing and stuff is coming loose around it here. So you just take a putty knife and scrape that loose stuff off, all of it. And then you just use some of this glazing compound and a putty knife. And I can just show you how simple it is. Started doing this to houses back in 1980. So I just would get a ball of it like this in my hand, and I would grab just a little bit of it like that right there, and then I would push it down on that ledge right there, right? And then once I get all that around each one of those, I can just grab a little bit more. Yeah, my hand's sticky, but it'll clean off. Once I get it all the way around there, then I take my putty knife, and then I just put my putty knife on an angle and come across there and take off all the extra. Go to the top, come down, and you just remove the extra and you're done. And then that's the finished product right there. All right. You do that and then let it dry. You probably can't paint it now, but it's a good idea to put some paint on that kind of spackling as well. For that window glazing, I'm sorry. So get that out of the way. There's different things you can do to the window, because one of the things I'm going to do, I'm going to talk about some caulking. And when we get to the end of this, I'm going to show you some caulking techniques and when we do this in here, one thing I'll tell you again about our classes is that our workshops here at Home Repair Services is they're hands-on. So when I teach this class here in this room, anybody in the classroom, anybody that wants to, I'm going to show how to do some caulking, and then they can come up and we have all these props where they can try. And usually the third or fourth time they do it, they got it. It's just technique. It's really all it is. But if you can't caulk, or you say, you know what, I need a quick fix, Mike, this is called rope cord weather seal. All right, rope cord weather seal. And you can see how that is you just unroll some of it and you just push it right into a corner if you want to seal it off. I'll just open this box so you can get a visual of what it looks like, if it will come out. It comes in different colors. This one's brown, but you can see that right here, see all those lines? So each one of those are in the individual pieces. So if I was to take off a piece like this, then I could just get one of these lines and start separating it. And I can pull one down just like that. Whatever the length is that I need. Just like that. Just keep going, going, going. And then I can take this and I can push it right in the corner of that window that I showed you right here. And it's just, it's kind of tacky. So it just kind of sticks to my finger right there, right? So it's just a little tacky. It's just a simple fix. What this is it's a Band-Aid, but I'd rather have a Band-Aid than cold air. So it's a quick fix. Another thing is, one of the things that we show in our is caulking around the window too, right? So you want to caulk around on the outside. You caulk around on the outside of that window. Get some caulking and go all the way around them. Stop that air outside, and then go inside. You know, in new homes, this is what they do. They trim out all the windows and doors, and then they seal around it. They caulk really good, and I'm going to show you how. And then when it's painted, you don't see it. And then also no cold air, because cold air can't come through the window because it's a nice energy efficient window and we sealed it up. But we don't want the cold air to go around the window either. All right, because it'll just go around it. So some caulking right there. There are different kinds of caulking. So I was talking about a lot of different things here. And we've all seen the window kits. You know, these things are awesome too. You know, you just take them and you stick them on there. You get a kit. This one, when it was purchased, was $379 at the hardware store. And then you just take that piece of the plastic, and anytime I do one of these, I take it, go across the top, and I tack it on the corner. First, you put double stick tape around the perimeter of it. Then you take the corner of it and tack it up in the corner over here, or just touch it, and it will stick. Then I come over here on this side and kind of just put a little tension on it, take it back and let it touch the window there. And then I just touch it a couple times here. Then I come down to the bottom corner and put just a little pull down tension on it and do the same thing, the other corner, and then just pat it in, right? And then after I pat it, then I'll wipe with my hand, because I don't want to pull it. So if I just pat it in, it'll stay there, and then wipe it around, seal it down, go over it with a dryer. So there's a lot of different things you can do to seal up your windows. This is one if you wanted to have some replacement storm windows. You can't afford storm windows. If I'm going to do that, I might as well wait until I get new windows. But I'd like to do something. So in addition to those, you could get some 1x2s. This is 1 inch by, or I'm sorry, 3/4 by 1.5. You make this wood frame. I'm going to back this up so you can see it. You make that wood frame. It's made for that window right over there, right? It's a 1/2 inch smaller than the opening of the window. So if it's 29.5 across, I'm going to make this 29, and then same 1/2 inch shy. And then I wrap it with this, and this isn't perfect, right? But you know what? I can see through it. I'd rather have this again than nothing. So you take this plastic and you wrap it around there and just take around the perimeter with a staple gun. Then you take, remember we shortened it by 1/2 inch? You take 3/8 inch of that foam we were talking about, and then just stick it around and go all the way around the perimeter of this with that foam, just like that. And guess what? Now this friction fits right in that opening over there. And this is awesome. I'm going to spin this around, and hopefully you can see it without me dropping it. So this is the inside. I don't know if you can see it, but I did put some of that sticky putty stuff in there, the rope caulk stuff. That's right there. So that's kind of like what the idea is. And then this was made to fit. It's smaller than the opening, but the foam tape fills the gap all the way around that thing. So I know you can't see the whole thing, but I'm hoping you can get the idea. If I back it up, now you can see the foam tape all the way around it. And it's airtight. So there's several things to seal up a window. Different kinds of caulking. I'm going to talk about this, and then when I get to the end, like I said, I'm going to do some caulking to show you couple of the techniques. Because that's what it is, technique. And then for you to say, yeah, I can do that. Because then you will. So they have different kinds of caulk. Here's one called Zip Away. This one is an interior painter's type caulk. This one is an exterior caulk, 100% silicone. Another painter's acrylic caulk, and it says indoor and outdoor, interior, exterior. Here's another one. A lot of those. This is actually some window glazing, and where I said to put the stuff in your hand and go around it, this actually is the glazing in a tube. It's a little bit creamier and has a angled cut that's flat and wide, and you can just go right around that window with this too. It's cheating, but it'll work. There's another one, another silicone. So I put many, I can't count how many tubes. I wish I had $1 for every one that I did, $0.25 for every one that I did through my many years in contracting. It's just a technique. You got to use the right kind of caulk for the right application. So what I tell everybody is the same thing that I would do. If I was coming to your home and going to caulk a window, put a window in, caulk a window, go around the door, it doesn't matter what it is. I want to buy the caulk that says on the label right here, superior flexibility and crack proof. Seals joints up to 1 inch wide. That's pretty impressive. And that's what I look at. So if it doesn't say something like that on the label, I'm not even going to try it. After a while, you'll find out what you like and what works. And then you just use that kind of caulk. Let's see. A polyurethane type caulk works really good. I don't have one of these here, but guess what? That's the one I'm going to, I think that's the one I was going to show you later. So anyways, know what you're going to caulk. There's cement caulk. A lot of them have very similar ingredients. Some of them have added ingredients to help them bond a little bit better. So you can caulk inside of a cement crack. If you're caulking inside of a crack, if you're trying to fill a crack, if that crack is just like very, like a hairline, and you caulk on over it, you're just going to lay the caulk on the surface. And it's just going to, even though it can flex and stuff, it's kind of an eyesore and it doesn't look that good. So if you need to caulk something and it's so close together, it looks like a hair laying on there, then just take like a flat screwdriver and just drag it through there, open it up just a little bit, make a little depth, then go over it with your caulk and then clean it up. And now the caulk actually goes down into that crack a little bit instead of just laying up on the surface. All right. These are a doozy. Foam in a can. Great. This one's called Great Stuff. This one's made by DAP. This one's made by Dow. This one's made by DAP. They all work good. It depends on what you're going to use them for. Know what you're going to use them for. I always suggest everybody to use one that has minimal expansion. And I'm just going to use these two right here as an example. Okay. I put thousands of windows in my life, and if you use this around a window, you're going to regret it. And if you use this around a window, that's what it's intended for. This one. It says right on there, minimal expansion. So this bigger one, they have let's see, the blue, the red, the black, and the green. And then the thing is this one, you fill a gap and it keeps expanding until its center is cured. So it's strong. It pushes, believe me. You'd be surprised how much it pushes. I've seen it lift a roof 2 inches. And then this one, once it comes up against resistance, like around a window, you put it in that crack, it just stops. It won't expand. It won't push. It fills the void and insulates it. It'll move forward where there's some extra space. All right. And then these two, this one is a fire stop. So if they had pipes going through the floor that were going upstairs, you go around it with this. You know, when they're doing inspections and stuff, they look for that stuff in homes when they're being built for safety purposes. And then here's another one. So most of these cans you hold upside down, you just spin this straw on it. So you take off the tip, this straw comes with it, spin it on there, right? Have it upside down and you just shake it up. I'm going to set these aside. And then this is one that was done. So what I did with this is intentionally screw 2 boards together and put a back on it and an end on it. Well, the end's not there, I'm sorry. The back is on it so the stuff can't go through. And so this straw, if you can see the length of that straw, right? When I put foam in a gap to fill that void, I don't want to fill the whole thing. You know, I don't want to fill it out to here. This expanded out to here. All of this right here did. So I put the straw back in there, start at the bottom and squeeze it. And it sounds like, you know, some meat frying or something. And then you just listen to the tone of it. And then you can just get it moving, keep moving. And just think about you're only insulating, you're only putting foam in the back half. And then just let it be, right? And it will continue to grow, come forward. And then it comes out. And then when it dries, then you can just take a razor knife and just cut it off. If you fill the whole thing, over half of everything you put in there is going to come dripping out all over the place. So it's a waste and it makes a mess. And then you'll think, I don't like that stuff. It's just do the back half of the space of the gap. So with air sealing, there is one more caulk I wanted to share with you. This one is called Zip Away. There's Zip Away, Peel Away. There's different companies. I'm not being favorites here. This is what I have. So get this right. You have a window and it's like, you know, I wish I could stop that air. That tape Mike's talking about didn't do me any good because of the situation. It's just in the wrong place, wrong time. I can't make the gap bigger because it's my window. So this is Zip Away, right? They're caulking that crack, that gap where that that sash comes down, and they're caulking all the way across there. Then it dries like that and sits there. The thing is, it doesn't bond. It just lays there, kind of tacky, but it stops the airflow. Then in the spring, you grab a hold of the end of it and it pulls out like a rubber band. And then you got your window use again. All right. So peel away, zip away, those work great. Now, one thing I am going to tell you is don't do this on a bedroom window because a bedroom window is a fire escape. Okay. So keep that in mind. Bedroom window is a fire escape. And you wouldn't want anybody in there and not be able to get the window open. Another place to use where is it now? The foam in a can. This one is showing, this one is actually showing 2 different cans right here, 2 different products. But as I said, I wouldn't use the green one. So this is down in your basement. It's called the rim joist. I had another one here. Oh, sorry, it's gone. When you're down in your basement, you look up, and this is called the rim joist. These are the joists that go up to the end, and then there's that setback place there. You put insulation in there, but also before you put the insulation there, you should go up there and you caulk around that. You should seal everything. Put the insulation up there. Then another approach is to take some of the green board, blue board, different kinds of board like this, the foam, right? This kind of board, and cut it just a little smaller than this so it sits right up in there, and then go around it with the foam in a can. That's going to stop all the drafts from coming through there. And if you look right here at the bottom of this, I'm hoping you can see this stuff. If you look at the bottom of this, it's caulked there too. Compared to on this side, see that board sits on the foundation wall, so air could potentially come through there. Might as well seal it up and be done with it. Okay. One way to find leaks, air drafts around your house is, you know, you get a really windy day. It doesn't matter when it is, spring, summer, fall, winter, it doesn't matter. If you don't mind incense sticks, go down in the basement on a really windy day. You know what they are. And then just light that incense stick, go over against the outside wall, and then just let that plume of smoke go up right next to the wall. Now, if that smoke moves, other than you walking slowly, if you get a whoof, well, guess what? You just identified where some cold air is coming in. Have a roll of painter's tape, stick it on that spot right there, and then just keep doing the whole thing. Now you can go back and figure out, okay, what one of those products that Mike was talking about am I going to use to seal up those drafts around there? Another thing you can do when you're on the outside is the siding hangs down over the foundation just a little bit. And I wish you could find that picture. Sorry. The siding hangs down like so. Here's the foundation. Here's the block wall. And the siding hangs down just a little bit over it. And you can't ever see up there unless you stand on your head up underneath there. So just get a handheld mirror and go around there and let it show up underneath that row of siding. And you'll be able to see if there are any gaps or any holes and stuff. Same thing. Painter's tape, tag that spot, do the whole house. And now you got a plan. Now you've identified where all the air drafts are that you can find, and then at least seal those up with the foam tape, with some of caulking, with even some of this stuff, which is you can get some cement, you can get some mortar, you do all kinds of things. This is a pre-mixed concrete patch. It's something. Use something and put it in there. If you had to, this is a Band-Aid, but again, I think about this as DIY. This is something you can do yourself. If you got a gap and that you can stick this straw in, do that, right? And stop that air through that way. But then when it's all done, like you saw that grew out, cut that off, that excess foam off, and then just go over that with a caulking gun and some silicone caulk up underneath there. Because now you weatherproofed it or waterproofed it. So the foam is in there, stopping the airflow. And the exterior, so it doesn't decay, because it will over time, is just put some caulking on the end of a putty knife even and just wipe it on that foam that you put on there. Does it look pretty? It depends on where it's at. Does it make a difference? Absolutely. And you're talking, again, these are, it's $4-ish for a can of this foam in a can, maybe $5, and then $5, $6 for a tube of caulk. Just so much you could do for just a few bucks. I'm gonna go to the doors, and I don't want to run out of time. I want to show you as much as I can. So I'm gonna probably start moving a little quicker. But I also want you to know that this is the kind of stuff we teach here at Home Repair Services. So check us out. So you want the weather stripping around the door. Maybe the cat scratched it up. Maybe it's just old. Maybe it's shrunk. Maybe it's whatever. This weather stripping, you can actually stick a putty knife in there. And you can get lengths of it. You can get replacement lengths of it. You can go to the big box store and get this kind of replacement length of it. And then you can just put a putty knife in behind there and go like, if I can hold on to it, go like this, and then grab a hold of it and peel it out of there. You can see that groove right there, right? And you can see on the back side of this, I hope, there's a groove right here. And so then you just take your new one, you cut it to length, push it down at the bottom, push it right up in there, and you just replace your weather stripping. Or maybe you have a weather stripping, you can get them that are already put together on a board like this, all right? And you can cut this to the length of the height, and then you can just put this up on there also, all right? When you put this kind on the outside, you want to do that from the outside, but so you would close the door and have it latched, and then this would go up right there, and then you get just a little bit of pressure. What's very common is for someone to say, you know what, I'm going to seal that thing good and just push it real hard against the door. This weather stripping is going to permanently it's going to get reshaped, reformed, and permanently stay like that, and it loses this. So you just put just a little pressure on it when you put it up against the door, and that's with any kind of weather stripping. The threshold down below, if you have this little spot right here in the bottom corner of the door, right there. I guess I should have left that door up here. These little pads are probably, you know, $3 for 2 of them. And what they do is they stick, I don't know if you can see that, I hope, but they stick right there. So that way when that door closes, that little hole right there is gone. Then also on the bottom, these sweeps on the bottom are replaceable. There's one of those pads that's on. This is an adjustable threshold on a steel entry door. You can see the screw. If you look down there, you see the screw. That's a favor someone did for you when they designed it, because you can take a screwdriver. There's that screw. This is that threshold across the bottom of your door. And you can take a screwdriver and watch as I back this screw. I'm going to back the screw out. And you see that U shape right there? That U shape is coming up, right? And you go all the way across there. You raise it up and close the door. It's not quite touching. Raise it up a little bit more. Maybe it's too snug when the door sweep goes over it. You just fine tune it. And then the thing is this is not something usually when you come in the house, if you can step over these, it's better, right? Because it's adjustable and you can just push it back down through time. Door sweeps. There's so much information here. Caulk around the doors. Here's another product you can use. Just get a little bag of this fiberglass insulation to stick in those cracks and crevices too. There's so much you can do with little funds. If the crack is, and you're going to caulk is too big, this is called caulk saber rod, right? So let's say the gap you want to caulk in your foundation is the size of your finger. Well, that's a lot of caulk, Mike. So take this foam stuff, they call it backer rod, saber rod. You take a piece of this and you just cut it off and you just push it in the crack, back in there a little ways, and then put the caulk on the surface so it goes in a little ways. Saves a lot of caulk and a lot of sagging. You get too much caulk in there, it'll just sag. I want to jump towards the end because I really don't want to miss this. I said I was going to do some caulking, and this is what we have. This is actually our caulking prop. So you can see those steps, and on the other side there's steps again. You can see all the caulk that's been put on there and scraped on there. And I can tell you, typically when if they've never caulked before, they tell me that they can't, I can show them some techniques on here a couple times, and then they try it, we talk, and then usually by the time they get the third one, and then they do another one, it's like, I got this. And that's so cool. It's cool to see. So here's some caulking, and I got the brown caulk so that you can actually see this better. The tip, well, one thing is, when it comes to caulk gun and tools, you get what you pay for, right? You don't have to buy the expensive stuff, but don't buy the ones that I call throwaway stuff. You know, if you go cheap, I've used caulk guns one time and it broke, and I'm saying I'm not doing that. So if you buy a $5 caulk gun or a $6, $7 caulk gun and it breaks after you use it a couple of times, well, next time you're going to buy a $10 or $12 caulk gun. So why not just get it to begin with? Because they're not made to last; they're made to just use. I'm not trying to knock them. I'm just saying, you know, that's what we do with everything, right? We want to save by not throwing money away twice. Well, actually, the first time was just throwing it away. So you cut that caulk tip on about a 30-degree angle. So I'm hoping that you can see that angle of that right there. Okay. There's a long point and the shorter point. The long point always follows, and the long point I always put up. So like, to me, this is the front. This is what I call up. Right, there's a side and there's a bottom. So this is the front of it, the top side. So I put that long point, I rotate it so that it's up here. All right, and I've got minutes. So I'm going to do this, turn it sideways, and I'm just going to squeeze some caulk like maybe you've seen before. And to me, that just looks like a rope, right? Big old bead right there. Or maybe you do this. Right? Maybe we've done that. Maybe I did someday, right? I didn't learn without making mistakes. So what you want to do is you want that long point on the top. You want to hold the caulk gun at probably about a 30-degree angle with a long point up. And when I'm caulking, I don't look at where I've been. I look at where I'm going. I look ahead of it. So when I'm caulking, I don't look back here, I look here. And the reason why, if you can see it up close, is you actually see the caulk little bead come out ahead of the bottom side of this as it's going. And you'll be able to control the size of that little bubble by, if you get too much, then it oozes out the side, right? If you don't get enough, then you get stuff like that. And now, I'm gonna turn this around. I'm gonna let that top side, I'm hoping you can see this, let that top side, and I'm gonna look underneath of it. And if you can see that little bubble, I can control it by how much I squeeze. And the other thing is, you notice I tried to get a long of squeeze of that trigger as possible from one end to the other before I re-grab. Because when you re-grab, that's where you get all this stuff, all those bulges. So you can just, oh, there was an air bubble in it. So I hope you can see that. My arm just doesn't bend that way, right? So you can see where the air bubble was. And you can see that compared to that, okay? The top one's like a rope, second one's like a, I don't know. So just that, and I'm gonna do one more time. I'm just gonna follow. And if I miss something, I can always go back, set it right there, and just touch it, and it's good. All right, you can do this. We do the spring and fall home maintenance class, and that's where we do this, and weatherization class, and that's where we do this. We have a whole series of workshops that we do at Home Repair Services. So again, there's not enough time. I wish I had at least another hour. So I really appreciate you checking out this video. A lot of good information. I had to go through it quick because I wanted to share as much as possible with you. And I know that you can apply these techniques at home and stop that airflow. You know, close off, you know, prepare the house for winter. And yeah, it'll be good. You'll feel good about it. So again, thank you through KDL with Home Repair Services, bringing this together and sharing with you so that you can take this. So I always think knowledge is power. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Mike. That was awesome. I learned a lot tonight.
Good. Good.
So this is great.
Good. Thank you.
We will post this video both on our YouTube channel and our Facebook channel, so you can watch it over and over. And I hope everyone has learned a lot from this. So
yeah.
See you next month.
Thank you.